Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got another review for you. This is DC Comics. This is Harley Quinn, the Eat, Bang, Kill Tour, issue number 4. I'm trying to get ahead of this comic, and it is a digital first comic, so they do have the whole complete series on the DC Universe app. That's how I'm reading it. I know for a lot of people it's not going to be released yet. I don't think it releases until next week. I'm not quite sure. It might come out this week. I have to look it up. But I'm trying to get ahead on it. I'm loving the story, and I just the fact that I have the ability to read the whole series now, I'm kind of holding off on that. So enough of the side story. It is written by T. Franklin, art by Max Sarin and Erich Owen. Then we got Marissa Louisa is colors, and then Taylor Esposito is on letters. The story so far is just Harley, and this is based off the animated TV show that they have on HBO Max currently that originally started on DC Universe. But it's of this, it's the Harley Quinn animated show, which is based on, and technically this is supposed to be like season 3, even though we kind of found out that season 3 is going to be different in the animated show form. But that's fine. It's kind of like their own little separate journey or little side story. And all it's about is about, Harley and Ivy running off and kind of having their honeymoon, but they're not officially married or anything. And it's just been their kind of journey along, them trying to like relax, enjoy each other, and have fun and stuff like that. They are on the run. This comic is set up where the main villain of the comic is Commissioner Gordon. Of course, our main characters are villains, so the cop is the one that's after them. But in this comic, it's taken overboard where he does look like the villain. Like Batman has had to come in and stop Jim from his villainous ways kind of thing. It's one of the funnier side jokes in the book. But this one starts off, and it's like Harley and Ivy. They're at a hotel, and they're relaxing finally after their journeys with Catwoman and other things from the last issue. They in the very last issue they got in a fight with Hush, and they're kind of like relaxing from all that. So they're watching the news, and they get this news report of like a sludge monster looking creature that's calling out Poison Ivy, and some of the DC heroes have showed up to try and stop him. And they're being shot as a live news report as Harley and Ivy are watching this. But on the scene, Cyborg shows up, Zatanna and Vixen show up to stop this guy. His name is, and it's really weird, but it's Maheptic. I think it's how you pronounce it, Maheptic. And he just looks like a really big, like, trash monster. But he does show up, and by the time the news reports go on, Zatanna's already knocked out completely. As the story progresses, you do see that he's able to control, like somehow take over Cyborg, and he starts using him against Vixen. Vixen eventually has to, like, kind of duck and dodge because she was more in the dealing with the trash monster kind of guy. As this is all going out, they do show that this Mephitic, or whatever his name is over here like taking notes, like he is and he keeps saying that this is a test run, and like I think he's trying to find out the background information on the heroes and stuff like that, so he can be a better villain kind of thing. But eventually he kind of takes off, and they can't really stop him. They're more like Vixen's more fixated on like trying to fix help Cyborg and Zatanna kind of thing, and so he does end up going away. And that's where the end news report goes. There's a conversation between like Harley and Ivy about like this creature calling her out and what she's going to do as far as that. They jump over to like Vixen in her real world, and like she's kind of like at a celebrity status, and then they do show her go off with her girlfriend to have like a night out in the town. They jump back over to like Harley and Ivy, and some of the fun that Harley has cooked out is instead of paying for a hotel, they're going to stay at one of their like villain friends' house that they know they're locked up at Arkham right now, and it's specifically the villain Nightfall. But Harley knows that Nightfall's in jail. They're like, hey, let's just go crash at her pad while I mean, it's going to be like free rent, blah, blah, blah. Ivy is talked into it. They end up going into the house, stay at the house, and they Harley and Ivy did not know it, but like Nightfall was dating someone and ends up being Livewire. And Livewire also had the same thought where she's hiding out in Nightfall's house, knowing that she's locked up in jail. So she eventually she does not like Harley for different reasons, but it kind of is a standoff thing between Harley and Ivy, but basically, not Harley and Ivy, but Harley and Livewire. But basically, Ivy gets pulled into it because Livewire and Ivy are like villain female friends or something like that, and like Livewire kind of like she kind of states to Ivy that she was kind of upset that she would even do that, and that she let Harley pull her into it. So it creates this, like, they eventually leave, and it creates this rift between, like, where Ivy is, like, extremely mad at Harley for messing up again. And it gets to the point where, like, they get in the car to leave and stuff, and Ivy's not even, like, holding her hand or listening to her. When they get in the car, she just, as soon as Harley gets on, they take off, and Harley's like, wait, I didn't, but the scene goes on, and like the book goes on, and Harley keeps trying to like make amends because she does feel bad. She loves Ivy, and she doesn't want, she didn't mean to mess up. She was trying to do something fun and spontaneous, something like that. So it does come out where like Harley kind of comes up with another idea to make Ivy happy, and she finds like at the hotel that they're staying at now, because they went and got another hotel, but at the hotel they're staying at now, it happens to be like a whole bunch of the presidents from like environmentalist corporations that are like faking who they say they are, and really they're mean to the environment kind of thing. And basically Harley sets it up like, hey, we could show up and just kill all these people, and like that would make you happy, right? And they eventually actually do that. Like they pretend to be waitresses, and they sneak in, and there's a whole deal where they do take out all the VIPs that are there, and you do kind of see like Ivy get a little happy and stuff, and they're about to like head off to go do some other crazy stuff that Harley has thought up, and that's when Vixen kind of shows up, and she's like, hey, y'all just killed all those VPs, y'all are gonna go to jail, and they weren't caught on the scene. So at first, like Harley and Poison Ivy, because they're not dressed up like Ivy and Poison Ivy, they're back to their makeup outfits and everything, and they're kind of stating that they're not Poison Ivy and Harley, and Vixen can see through the whole like spiel. I think she can smell Harley or something like that. But they eventually, like, Ivy tries to like poison her / mesmerize her with some of her toxins, and it doesn't work against Vixen. They never bring up why it doesn't work, but Harley makes a big deal about how it doesn't work on her. At that point, like, Vixen tries to, it's like this whole superhero battle, and like basically Vixen comes out the victor, like on top pretty much the whole time. She makes Harley look kind of pathetic, which is kind of sad to see, because I love Harley, and Harley is an extremely she's one of the top fighters in the DC universe. But eventually, while all this is going on, but you gotta remember Vixen using like animal powers and stuff like that, so it's really like Harley trying to fight a superpowered individual. But eventually, like, all of a sudden behind them, a whole slew of real animals, like elephants and lions and giraffes, are running down the street towards them. And Vixen has to, like, she uses skunk powers, and she basically, like, fogs the area with skunk smell, including, Ivy and Harley, and then, like, over there and smell and stink and everything. And Vixen ends up taking off, like, trying to save the animals or find out why they even escaped. And that's where this issue leaves off. Well, it kind of shows Gordon at the end, like, watching the news and seeing what's happening, like, currently on the news, and he's like, oh, I know where Harley and Ivy are, and he's getting ready to go after him, kind of thing, and that's where the issue ends. But overall, this book is phenomenal. It's been, the art is just amazing. It's some of the best art, in my opinion, from this year. Now, I am a big, DC fan, and I'm also a big Harley and So I mean, a lot of these things are on like a biased level, but I still give every book I read the same critique, and this is just a well thought together fun ride. You know, it's not a book that you take seriously. It's not in continuity, so you can't judge it by those factors, kind of thing. But I mean, you don't need to judge it. There's no reason. I mean, it's fun. It's entertaining. The story is worthwhile. The art is just stellar. Like the journey between Ivy and Poison Ivy, they do touch on real world stuff. It's not all comedy. I mean, like what they were going through right now. You know, I think anybody that's been through relationship stuff can relate. You know, kind of thing. But hey, that's my review. You know, I got more coming. It's new comic book day. Comic books, you know, are dropping. I got to get, you know, reading on this stuff. But I still got stuff from last week and the weeks before, but they will trickle in between. All right, guys. Bye.